Twice a year, the town of High Point, North Carolina nearly doubles in size as 75,000 people descend onto the town for what is the largest home furnishings industry trade show in the world. I'm talking about High Point's biannual furniture market. The two markets a year end up bringing in close to $5.4 billion to the local economy and are basically what is still keeping High Point alive.
This is Keeping a City Comfy, why the furniture industry means so much to High Point. The very first formal market in High Point was called the Southern Furniture Market. It took place in March of 1909. Back then, High Point was more into the manufacturing of furniture than it was selling, as the manufacturing jobs employed many of the local residents.
Almost all the manufacturing of furniture was put on hold during World War II though, as 13 and a half stories of the Southern Furniture Expedition building, now the International Home Furnishing Center, were used toward the war efforts.
Only one partial market was held between 1941 and 1946. Following the end of World War II, the furniture industry in High Point hit its peak.
In the 1950s, almost half of all bedroom furniture made in the U.S. is made within a 125-mile radius of High Point, and business became so big that in-between markets were held in April and October.
By the 1960s, however, mid-season markets had surpassed the January and July markets and were now the only two the city held.
The furniture industry in High Point hasn't always been smooth sailing though, as it has seen competition both from overseas and at home in the U.S.
By the 70s and 80s, High Point slowly saw companies move all of their manufacturing overseas into Asia, which made the city rethink what would come next.
When organizers in Dallas made a strong bid in 1980 to host the home furnishings market instead of High Point, it made the people realize that they must increase the services for market visitors and shift the focus onto the selling of furniture. In the 1990s, High Point saw a construction boom downtown as close to 3 million square feet of showrooms were added to the High Point market. But in 2002, organizers in Las Vegas announced plans for a massive showroom and that they'd be starting their own furniture market. This instantly worried those invested in the High Point market, as no one knew how to compete with Las Vegas. But what was quickly realized was that companies didn't want to send their employees to Las Vegas, as they wouldn't focus on business. But if you send them to High Point, then they basically had nothing else to do. The Vegas market definitely dipped into High Point's attendance, but it is not the threat that it was originally thought it would be. The 2000s were all about improving conditions for visitors, which included the North Carolina General Assembly offering to show its support for the first time by offering financial help, and the opening of a brand new transportation terminal right downtown in 2005.
That brings us to the present, where the biannual furniture markets account for 1% of North Carolina's overall gross domestic product, or GDP.
According to sociologist John Joe Schlipman, High Point has become a niche city, which is a city that forges global centrality by creating an economic specialization in a specific segment of the global service economy, which basically means High Point found something they knew and could do well and are now major players in a major worldwide industry. That's why High Point will always be known as the furniture capital of the world.